She wasn't always Elena Valente, the tycoon's wife. Once, she'd been Elena Moreau, the woman with ink-stained fingers and blueprints rolled under her arm, the architect who'd won the National Young Designers Award at 28. But love, or what she thought was love, had whispered promises. Just for a while, let me build this empire, and then we'll build our life together. And so she'd folded her dreams like old sketches and tucked them into drawers, believing sacrifice was the language of devotion. Now, at 39, she wore silk and silence like armor. The door clicked open. Lucas stepped in, his tailored coat dusted with rain, his expression unreadable behind designer glasses. He didn't look at her, not right away. He poured himself a whiskey, ice clinking like shattered glass. "You're late," she said, her voice steady, though her fingers trembled against the window pane. "I had a board meeting," he replied, not turning. "Then dinner with investors." She almost smiled. Investors, that's what he called Isadora now. A long pause stretched between them, thick with everything unsaid. Elena finally turned, her dark eyes meeting his in the reflection of the window. "You haven't touched my sketches in months, not even to move them off your desk." He sighed, finally facing her. "Elena, we need to talk." Her breath caught. She'd heard those words before. In films, in novels, but never imagined how cold they'd feel in real life, like a door closing in slow motion. "Isadora is pregnant," he said, blunt as a blade. The world didn't stop. The rain didn't cease. But something inside Elena did. A quiet implosion. She didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, she walked to the bookshelf and pulled out a small, leather-bound album. Photos from their honeymoon in Lisbon. Her laughing on a cobblestone street. Lucas holding her waist like she was the only thing anchoring him to earth. "Did you ever want children with me?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated. That hesitation was her answer. "We tried," he said carefully. "But you know the doctor said." "I know what they said." She cut in sharper now. "But did you want to keep trying? Or was I just convenient until something better came along?" He flinched. "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Lucas?" Her voice cracked, raw and trembling. "Because from where I stand, you traded 15 years of loyalty for a girl who calls you Daddy in bed and posts filtered photos of your private jet on Instagram." He looked away, jaw tight. "She makes me feel alive again." Elena closed her eyes. Alive, as if the woman who'd held his hand through bankruptcy, who'd sold her grandmother's jewelry to keep his first startup afloat, who'd memorized his coffee order and his nightmares, had been nothing but a ghost. "I built your empire with you," she said, tears finally spilling, hot and silent. "I gave you everything I had, my time, my name, my silence, and all you gave me back was a front-row seat to your betrayal." He stepped toward her, hand outstretched. "Elena, please." She stepped back. "Don't touch me. Not tonight. Not ever again." He stood there, stunned, as if only now realizing the magnitude of what he'd done. But it was too late. The love hadn't died in a single night. It had been eroded, grain by grain, by his absences, his dismissals, his growing belief that success meant never needing to look back. Elena walked to the bedroom and packed a single suitcase. Not much fit, just clothes, her passport, and the small silver locket her mother gave her on her wedding day. Inside, a faded photo of her younger self, eyes bright with dreams she hadn't yet abandoned. As she wheeled the suitcase to the elevator, Lucas stood in the hallway, his face pale. "Where will you go?" he asked. She pressed the button. "Somewhere you can't find me." The doors slid shut before he could reply. Outside, the rain had stopped. The city breathed beneath a bruised dawn. Elena hailed a taxi, her reflection in the window blurred by tears, but her spine straight, her chin high. She wasn't Lucas Valente's wife anymore. She was Elena Moreau again. And somewhere deep inside, beneath the grief, a spark flickered. Not of revenge, but of rebirth. Certo, agora tu como narrador e storyteller desenvolva a historia sem marcacos com o nome de cada topico que for desenvolve. Mi canti sobrio topico tu com dialogo como seu fosso espectador. Sempre lembrando de desenvolver com vida moco. Com muitos sentimentos de forma que a estrutura de narrativa utiliza uma linha temporal linear de modo o espectador sentir o que o personagem está sentindo amigos. Com 6.000 characters com 3 max in the beginning, it looked like a fairy tale, carved in marble and gold. Elena remembered the first gala they attended together. The one where Lucas, still unknown outside financial circles, had whispered in her ear, "One day, they'll all know your name too." She'd laughed, tucked under his arm in a simple emerald gown, her hand resting on his chest as if she could feel the ambition thrumming beneath his ribs like a second heartbeat. And for a while, it worked. They were the golden couple of Sao Paulo's elite. Lucas Valente, the self-made billionaire with the sharp mind and sharper jawline. Elena Moreau, the elegant, intelligent wife who spoke 3 languages and never raised her voice. Their penthouse glittered with art and silence. Their parties were legendary champagne towers, string quartets, guests who kissed cheeks but never asked real questions. "Darling, you look radiant tonight," Lucas would say, adjusting her diamond earrings before another charity dinner, his fingers brushing her neck with practiced tenderness. "And you look like you haven't slept in 48 hours. She'd reply, smoothing his lapel, her eyes searching his. "When was the last time you ate something that didn't come from a boardroom tray?" He'd chuckle, kiss her forehead. "Soon, once this merger closes." But soon never came. The cracks began subtly. Missed birthdays, canceled weekend getaways, phone calls taken in hushed tones behind closed doors. Elena told herself it was the price of greatness. She'd chosen this life. She'd believed in him more than he believed in himself once. At home, the silence grew heavier. She'd sit alone in the dining room, a single candle burning beside a plate of food growing cold, listening to the city hum below while Lucas remained at the office. Just finishing up, his texts read, always punctual, always vague. One evening, she found a receipt in his suit pocket. A boutique hotel in Ipanema, dated the night he'd claimed to be in Brasilia for a government meeting. Her hands shook as she held it, not because she was naive. She'd seen the way younger women at galas lingered near him, laughing too loudly at his jokes, but because she trusted him enough to ignore the signs. Love, she'd thought, was choosing to believe. She confronted him that night. "Lucas, was this you?" She held out the slip of paper, her voice steady despite the storm inside. He didn't even glance at it, just loosened his tie and walked to the bar. "Elena, don't start. Don't start, or don't notice." Her voice broke. "I've been your shadow for 15 years. I gave up my firm, my projects, my name. Everyone calls me Mrs. Valente like I never existed before you. And for what? So you could disappear into boardrooms and hotel rooms while I play the perfect hostess to your empire." He turned then, ice cold. "You knew what this life demanded when you married me. Did I?" She laughed, bitter and hollow. "I thought I was marrying a man who'd build something with me, not just on top of me." He poured whiskey, ice clinking like a countdown. "You have everything. A home, security, respect. What more do you want?" "You," she whispered. "I wanted you to come home." He didn't answer, just stared out the floor-to-ceiling window at the skyline he owned. That night, Elena lay awake beside him, feeling the chasm between their bodies like a physical wound. She remembered their early days, sleeping on a futon in a rented apartment, eating ramen, dreaming aloud about designing sustainable housing for favelas. Back then, he'd held her like she was the dream, not the backdrop. Now, she was just part of the decor. At the next gala, a shimmering affair at the Museum of Modern Art, Elena wore a gown the color of midnight, diamonds at her throat, a smile stitched to her lips. Reporters snapped photos. The Valentes, still the city's most envied couple. Lucas stood beside her, arm around her waist, charming donors, sealing deals with a handshake and a wink. But when a young woman in a crimson dress approached, Isadora Lima, his new head of PR, he lingered a second too long in her gaze. Elena saw it, the way his eyes softened, the way he leaned in when she spoke. Later, In the car, she asked, "Who is she?" "Just a colleague," he said, scrolling through emails on his phone. "She looked at you like you're the sun." He didn't look up. "Don't be dramatic, Elena." But she wasn't being dramatic. She was being observant. And observation in a marriage built on illusion was the first step toward truth. The final unraveling came not with shouting, but with silence. One morning, she found her favorite coffee mug, chipped at the rim, the one she'd bought on their honeymoon in Lisbon, replaced by a sleek, minimalist cup from his new wellness collection. When she asked where it was, the housekeeper hesitated. Mr. Valente said, "It was time for new things." That's when Elena understood. She wasn't just being replaced in his heart. She was being erased. And yet, even as the walls of their perfect life crumbled, she held her head high at every event, smiled for every camera, played her role flawlessly, because the world still believed in the fairy tale. Isadora entered the room like she owned the air around her. Sleek black dress, crimson lips, eyes that scanned the room not for people, but for opportunities. And when her gaze landed on Lucas, something shifted. Not just in her expression, but in his. His shoulders relaxed. His smile reached his eyes for the first time in months. Elena's stomach dropped. Later that evening, she overheard them on the terrace. "You made that investor eat out of your hand," Isadora said, her voice low, honeyed. "I've never seen anyone command a room like you do." Lucas chuckled, the sound warm, intimate. "You give me too much credit." "No," she said, stepping closer, her gloved hand brushing his sleeve. "I just see you, really see you. Not the tycoon, not the brand. The man who stays up rewriting speeches because he wants them perfect. The man who still carries his mother's rosary in his wallet." Elena froze behind the French doors, her breath catching like glass in her throat. How did she know that? That detail, so private, so tender, was something Lucas had only ever shared with her, late at night, after his father's funeral. Isadora wasn't just charming him. She was studying him. Over the next weeks, Elena watched as Isadora's presence grew, from PR consultant to trusted advisor, then to indispensable. She accompanied Lucas to meetings Elena used to attend. She sat beside him at dinners Elena no longer received invitations to. And always that look, the one that said, "I understand him better than you ever did." One rainy afternoon, Elena returned to the penthouse earlier than usual. Her old architectural firm had offered her a consulting role, and for the first time in years, she'd said yes. She found Isadora there, alone, sitting at Lucas's desk, scrolling through his private email on his laptop. "Isadora?" Elena's voice was calm, but her pulse roared in her ears. The younger woman startled, then recovered instantly, flashing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Elena, I was just helping Lucas organize his schedule. He's been so overwhelmed." "His password is our wedding date," Elena said quietly, stepping forward. "Did he give it to you?" Isadora's smile faltered. "He trusts me." "Trust isn't given, it's earned. And you've been here, what, 6 months? Long enough to see how lonely he is." Isadora shot back, rising. "You live in the same house, but you're not with him. You stopped seeing him years ago." Elena's hands clenched at her sides. "And you think sleeping with him makes you his confidant?" "I think loving someone means wanting them to be happy, even if it's not with you," Isadora said, voice dripping with false sympathy. "He deserves fire, Elena, not this quiet resignation." The words stung because they held a sliver of truth. But Elena wouldn't give her the satisfaction of crumbling. "Fire burns," she said evenly. "And men like Lucas always think they can control it until it consumes everything." Isadora's eyes narrowed. "Careful, you sound bitter." "No," Elena said, turning toward the window, her reflection pale but resolute. "I sound awake." That night, Lucas came home late. He found Elena in the library, sketching, not buildings, but faces. Their faces, younger, happier. "She told me you were here today," he said, loosening his tie. Isadora? Elena didn't look up. Yes, she was using your computer. Very familiar with your life. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. She's brilliant, Elena. She gets me. Does she? Elena finally met his eyes. Or does she just tell you what you want to hear? That you're still the man you were before the money? Before the power? Before you started believing your own headlines? He flinched. That's not fair. Fair. A bitter laugh escaped her. You brought her into our home, Lucas. You let her sit at our desk. And now you're asking me to be fair. He stepped closer, voice softening. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, she whispered. Every time you looked at her like she was the answer to a question you never asked me. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. And then, quietly, he said the words that shattered what little remained. She's pregnant, Elena. The room tilted. The sketches slipped from her lap. Is it yours? She asked, though she already knew. He nodded, unable to meet her gaze. I know it's cruel, but with her, it feels like a second chance. Like I can finally be the father I always wanted to be. Elena stared at him. This man she'd loved, built with, bled for, and saw a stranger wearing his face. A second chance? Her voice was ice. And what was I? Practice. He didn't answer. She walked out that night, not with a suitcase this time, but with a single sketchbook and the quiet certainty that love, once weaponized, could never be trusted again. But as she stepped into the elevator, one thought burned brighter than the pain. She's playing a dangerous game. But on the third evening, he found himself standing outside her new apartment, a modest one-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood she'd chosen precisely because it had no doormen, no paparazzi, no reminders of the life she'd left behind. She opened the door in sweatpants and an old university hoodie, her hair pulled back, no makeup, eyes red-rimmed but dry. She looked real, human, not the polished wife he'd grown used to ignoring. Lucas, she said, voice flat, what are you doing here? He shifted, hands in his coat pockets, the city lights casting long shadows behind him. We need to talk, properly. She hesitated, then stepped aside. Inside, the apartment smelled of coffee and paper. Sketches pinned to the walls, books stacked on the floor, a single orchid blooming on the windowsill. It was small, yes, but alive. Unlike the penthouse, which now felt like a gilded tomb. He sat on the edge of her sofa, unable to meet her eyes. I filed the divorce papers today. Elena didn't flinch. She poured 2 cups of tea, habit, not hospitality, and sat across from him. So it's official. It's necessary, he said, choosing his words like stepping on broken glass. Isadora's due in 6 months. The press is already speculating. We can't keep pretending. Pretending? She let out a quiet, broken laugh. You mean the part where you told society I was your partner, your equal, while you were already building a new life behind my back? He looked down. I never meant for it to happen like this. No, she said softly. You just let it. A long silence stretched between them, filled only by the ticking of a second-hand clock she'd bought at a flea market. Another life, another time. Do you love her? Elena finally asked. Lucas exhaled, running a hand over his face. I don't know what love is anymore, but with her, I feel seen, desired, like I'm not just a balance sheet. And I made you feel invisible. Her voice cracked. You made me feel safe, he admitted, eyes glistening. And somewhere along the way, I mistook safety for boredom. The words landed like a knife between her ribs, because safety was love, steady, quiet, enduring. But he traded it for fireworks, not realizing they'd leave nothing but ash. Elena stood, walked to the window. And the child? What happens when the novelty fades? When she realizes you're not the fantasy she built in her head? Will you leave her too? Or will you finally learn to stay? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his briefcase and placed a thick envelope on the coffee table. The settlement is generous. More than generous. Properties, stocks, a trust fund. You'll never want for anything. She stared at the envelope like it was poison. You think money fixes betrayal? No, he said quietly. But it's the only language I know how to speak now. Tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them back. Take it back, Lucas. Keep your money. I don't want your guilt wrapped in zeros. He stood, voice strained. Elena, please, let me do this one thing right. You already had your chance, she said, turning to face him fully. 15 years of chances. You chose her. Now live with that choice, without buying your way out of the consequences. He swallowed hard. Will you ever forgive me? She looked at him, not with hatred, but with a sorrow so deep it frightened him. I don't know, she whispered, but I'll survive you. That's the part you never understood. I wasn't yours. I was always mine. He left without another word. Outside, rain began to fall, soft at first, then steady, washing the streets clean. Inside, Elena sank onto the floor, back against the door, and finally let herself cry. Not for the marriage, not even for the dreams she'd buried, but for the child she'd never hold. For the nursery they'd once painted in soft yellows, hidden behind a locked door in the penthouse, now destined to cradle another woman's baby. And in that moment, a quiet vow formed in her heart, not spoken aloud, but carved into her soul. If I can't be his mother, I won't be his ghost. She avoided the news, blocked society pages, changed her number twice. But the world, relentless and curious, found ways to whisper. One rainy Tuesday, her old friend Mariana, once her college roommate, now a journalist, showed up unannounced, holding 2 paper cups of coffee and a cautious smile. You look better, Mariana said, stepping inside. Elena raised an eyebrow. Better than dead? Better than broken, Mariana replied gently, setting the coffee down. I saw the Valente Group's press release. Divorce finalized. Clean break. Elena nodded, not looking up from her sketch. He got what he wanted. A fresh start. A son. A new narrative. And you? Mariana sat across from her. What did you get? Elena paused, then met her friend's eyes. Myself. Mariana smiled sadly. It's a good start, but you can't hide forever, Lena. The world still turns. I'm not hiding, Elena said, voice firm. I'm healing. There's a difference. But even as she said it, doubt flickered. Was she truly moving forward or just building walls higher? Then came the letter. Thick cream paper, embossed with the Valente Foundation seal, delivered by hand. No return address, but she knew. She almost threw it away, but curiosity, that old betrayer, made her open it. You are cordially invited to the annual Valente Foundation Gala in recognition of your past contributions to our mission of urban renewal. Her breath hitched. Past contributions. As if her ideas, her vision, her late nights drafting plans for low-income housing, now rebranded under Lucas's name, were just footnotes in his legacy. She crumpled the invitation, then smoothed it out again. Mariana found her that evening, staring at it on the kitchen table. You're not going, she said, not a question. Elena traced the embossed logo with her fingertip. I don't know. Why would you, after everything? Because, Elena said slowly, if I don't go, it means he still controls the story, and I'm tired of being a ghost in my own life. Mariana studied her. You're not the same woman who left that penthouse. No, Elena agreed. I'm not. The night of the gala arrived under a sky dusted with stars. Elena stood before her mirror in a simple black gown. No diamonds, no designer label, just clean lines and quiet strength. She'd spent hours deciding. Wear armor or wear truth? She chose truth. At the venue, a grand neoclassical hall draped in white orchids and soft light, she moved like a shadow among glittering ghosts. Former friends glanced, whispered, then looked away. She didn't care. She sipped mineral water, listened to speeches about visionary leadership, and watched Lucas take the stage. Tanned, polished, flanked by board members and, notably, Isadora, radiant in emerald silk, one hand resting protectively on her rounded belly. Elena's chest tightened, but she didn't look away. After the ceremony, Guests mingled in the grand foyer. Laughter, clinking glasses, the hum of curated intimacy. Then music swelled. The crowd parted slightly as people began ascending the grand marble staircase for the after-party on the terrace. Elena lingered near the base, needing air, needing space. And that's when she saw her, Isadora, standing at the top of the stairs, bathed in golden light, holding a tiny bundle wrapped in ivory cashmere. A baby, their baby. Elena's breath stopped. The child stirred, and in the soft glow of the chandelier, she saw it. The curve of the brow, the shape of the eyes. Lucas's eyes. Her knees nearly buckled. Mariana, beside her, gasped softly. "Oh, Lena!" Elena couldn't move, couldn't speak. All the grief she'd buried, the longing for a child she couldn't carry, the nursery door she'd never opened, the lullabies she'd never sing, rose like a tide in her throat. Isadora looked down, scanning the crowd. Their eyes met. For a heartbeat, the world vanished. Then Isadora's lips curved into a knowing smile, triumphant, almost cruel, as she adjusted the baby in her arms, turning slightly to show him off like a trophy. Elena's hands clenched at her sides, nails biting into her palms. But then something shifted. The baby let out a soft cry, turning his face toward the light, toward her. And in that instant, Elena didn't see Isadora's victory. She saw him, her blood, her family, a life that carried pieces of her husband, yes, but also irrevocably pieces of her. Because Lucas's eyes, they were her mother's eyes. And that child, innocent, unknowing, was already part of her story, whether she liked it or not. Mariana touched her arm. "Do you want to leave?" Elena took a slow, deep breath. The pain was still there, raw, aching. But beneath it, something else stirred. Then movement. Lucas appeared beside Isadora, his tuxedo sharp, his expression unreadable from this distance. He placed a hand on Isadora's lower back, a gesture meant to signal unity, possession. But Elena saw the tension in his jaw, the way his eyes flickered toward the crowd below, searching for her. She didn't hide. She kept climbing. When she reached the landing, the music softened, as if the universe itself held its breath. A few guests noticed her, gasps muffled behind champagne flutes, eyes wide with scandal and curiosity. But Elena only had eyes for the child. Isadora stiffened the moment she saw her. Her smile didn't vanish. It sharpened, like a blade being drawn. "Well," Isadora said, voice honeyed but edged with steel. "Look who decided to grace us with her presence." Elena didn't answer immediately. She let her gaze drift to the baby. Tiny fingers curled around the edge of the blanket, lips parted in sleep, lashes dark against flushed cheeks. So small, so real. "He's beautiful," Elena said, voice barely above a whisper. Isadora's grip tightened slightly. "Yes, he's everything Lucas ever wanted." The words were meant to wound, and they did, but not in the way Isadora expected. Because Elena didn't flinch. She simply looked up, meeting the younger woman's eyes with a calm that unnerved her. "Funny," Elena said softly. "I always thought Lucas wanted loyalty, integrity, someone who'd stay when the world got hard." She paused. "But maybe I was wrong. Maybe all he ever wanted was someone who'd give him a son and smile for the cameras." Lucas stepped forward then, his voice low, urgent. "Elena." "No," she cut in, finally turning to him. Don't pretend this is complicated. You made your choice. You left me for her. And now you have your perfect little family." Her voice cracked, just once. "So why does it look like you're still searching for something you threw away?" He opened his mouth, but no words came. Isadora shifted the baby, angling him slightly away from Elena. "You don't belong here," she hissed under her breath. "This is our night." Elena's eyes flicked back to the child. "And he's my blood." The words hung in the air like shattered glass. Isadora paled. "Don't you dare." "I'm not claiming him," Elena said, voice steady now, eyes glistening. "I'm just seeing him, for the first time, and I won't apologize for that." A silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken threats and deeper truths. Then Lucas did something unexpected. He reached out and gently took the baby from Isidora's arms. Isidora gasped. "Lucas!" "He's fussy," Lucas said quietly, though the child was calm. "And you've been holding him too tight." Elena watched as he cradled the infant with surprising tenderness, adjusting the blanket, brushing a thumb over the baby's cheek. And in that moment, she saw it, the flicker of doubt in his eyes, the weight of what he'd done, the dawning realization that a child isn't a trophy. It's a responsibility, a mirror. "He has your eyes?" Lucas murmured, not to Isidora, but to Elena. Isidora's face tightened. "He has your eyes, Lucas." "No," he said softly, still looking at Elena. "He has hers." Elena's breath caught, because it was true. The shape, the depth, the quiet intensity. It was her mother's gaze, passed down through her, now blinking up at the world from her husband's arms. Mariana appeared at her side, sensing the storm. "Lena, maybe we should go." But Elena didn't move, because something had shifted, not just in the air, but in the story itself. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about legacy, about who would raise this child with truth, not performance. And as Lucas stood there, holding the son he'd used as justification for abandoning her, Elena realized with chilling clarity, he doesn't know how to be a father. And Isidora? She didn't know how to be a mother. But she, Elena, knew both. Not because she'd done it, but because she'd wanted to with every fiber of her being. The orchestra swelled again, guests drifting back into conversation, unaware of the earthquake happening in silence on the grand staircase. Elena turned to leave, but not before locking eyes with Lucas one last time. She almost didn't answer, but something instinct, dread, hope made her press accept. "Elena!" Lucas's voice was rough, stripped of its usual polish. It's me." She didn't speak, just held the phone tighter. "I need to see you," he said. "Not as my ex-wife, not as an enemy, just as someone who knew me before I became this." She almost laughed. "Before you became the man who traded 15 years of love for a nursery photo op? I deserve that," he said quietly. "But it's not just about me anymore." Pause. Rain tapped against her window. "It's about him," he finally said. "The baby. Mateus." Mateus. The name landed like a stone in her chest. She hadn't even known he had a name. "What about him?" she asked, voice tight. "He's not well," Lucas admitted, and for the first time, she heard real fear in his voice. "Fever, coughing. The pediatrician says it's bronchiolitis." Isidora panicked. She didn't know what to do. She's calling specialists, posting on social media for natural remedies. Elena, she's performing motherhood, not doing it. Elena closed her eyes. She remembered those nights with her niece, holding her upright through the worst of the croup, humidifier running, singing lullabies until dawn. Instinct, care, not curated. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because when I held him last night, feverish and crying, all I could think was, Elena would know what to do." His voice broke. "And I hate that. I hate that even now, in the middle of my new life, the only person I trust with something this precious is you." Silence stretched between them, filled only by the sound of rain and distant traffic. "Where are you?" she finally asked. "The penthouse, but not our penthouse. The new one, on Avenida Faria Lima." "I'll be there in 20 minutes, she said. "But Lucas, this isn't forgiveness. It's not a reunion. I'm coming for him, not for you." "I know," he whispered. "Thank you." When she arrived, the doorman barely recognized her without diamonds and designer heels. She took the private elevator up, heart pounding like a drum. The door opened before she could knock. Lucas stood there, unshaven, eyes bloodshot, wearing a wrinkled shirt. Behind him, the apartment was immaculate, too perfect, like a showroom. No toys, no bottles, no signs of a newborn. Isidora sat on the white sofa, scrolling frantically on her phone, baby monitor in hand. She looked up when Elena entered, eyes narrowing. "What is she doing here?" she snapped. "She's here because Mateus can't breathe properly, and you were Googling crystal healing for infants," Lucas said, sharper than Elena had ever heard him speak to Isadora. Isadora flushed. "I was trying to help. By wrapping him in amethyst-infused blankets?" Elena asked, walking past her without stopping. "Where is he?" "In the nursery," Lucas said, leading her down the hall. The room was stunning. Custom crib, mobiles from Paris, walls painted in hand-mixed organic clay. But the air was dry, too dry. Elena went straight to the crib. Mateus lay there, cheeks flushed, breaths shallow and rapid. She touched his forehead, burning. Without a word, she walked to the bathroom, filled a basin with warm water, grabbed a soft towel, and returned. She gently wiped his face, then lifted him, carefully cradling his head, and held him upright against her chest. "Just so. Humidifier," she said. "Now." And elevate the crib mattress slightly, not with pillows under the mattress, and stop bundling him so tightly. He needs to breathe, not sweat. Lucas moved instantly, rushing to obey. Isadora hovered in the doorway, arms crossed. "You act like you're the only one who knows how to care for a child." "I never claimed to," Elena said, rocking Mateus slowly, humming a wordless tune her grandmother used to sing. "But I do know panic when I see it. And right now, you're more worried about how this looks on Instagram than whether he's getting enough oxygen." Isadora's mouth opened, then closed. Lucas returned with the humidifier, setting it on the dresser. He watched Elena, how her hands moved with quiet certainty, how Mateus's breathing already seemed to ease in her arms. "He calmed down," Lucas whispered, awe in his voice. "Because he's not scared anymore," Elena said softly. "Babies feel everything. Your anxiety, it's poison to them." She looked at Lucas then, not with anger, but with sorrow. "You wanted a son to complete your image. But a child isn't an accessory, Lucas. He's a soul, and he needs more than luxury. He needs love, the kind that shows up in the dark, not just in the spotlight." Tears welled in Lucas's eyes. He didn't wipe them away. Isadora turned and walked out, heels clicking like retreating gunfire. Elena stayed until Mateus's fever broke, until his breaths deepened into sleep. Only then did she hand him back to Lucas. "He'll be okay," she said. "But you need to choose. Right now, are you going to be his father, or just his brand?" Lucas held his son close, forehead resting against the baby's. "I don't know how to be what he needs." "Then learn," Elena said. "Or step aside." She turned to leave. "Elena," he called out. She paused at the door. "Will you come back? If he needs you." She didn't look back, but her voice was clear, steady, final. "I'll always come for him." And with that, she walked out, not as the discarded wife, but as the woman who still knew how to love without owning. "I'm sorry, Elena. Your ovarian reserve is extremely low. Natural conception is unlikely." She'd held Lucas's hand so tightly her knuckles turned white. He'd squeezed back, whispered, "We'll find another way. Adoption, surrogacy, it doesn't matter, as long as it's ours." She'd believed him. For years, she'd watched him flinch at baby showers, change the channel during diaper commercials, grow quiet when friends announced pregnancies. She thought it was grief, shared grief. But now, standing in that too-perfect nursery, watching him cradle a son he'd fathered with another woman while lying to her about never wanting children, she realized the truth. He hadn't been grieving. He'd been waiting. The next morning, she returned to the penthouse. Not because he asked, but because Mateus's cough had worsened again, and Lucas's voice on the phone had been raw with panic. When she arrived, Isadora was gone, off to a wellness retreat. According to the housekeeper, Lucas looked exhausted, unshaven, wearing a faded t-shirt she'd never seen before. "He won't stop crying," he said, handing Mateus to her like a sacred relic. Elena took him, rocking gently, humming that same old lullaby. Within minutes, the baby's cries softened into whimpers, then sleep. Lucas sank onto the edge of the crib, head in his hands. I didn't know it would be like this. Like what? She asked softly. Terrifying, he admitted. I built empires, Elena, negotiated billion-dollar deals. But this tiny human depends on me, and I don't know if I'm enough. She looked at him, really looked. Not the tycoon, not the betrayer, just a man hollowed out by regret. Do you remember? She said slowly. That night in Lisbon, after the conference, we sat on that little balcony overlooking the river, and you said you wanted 3 kids, a boy and 2 girls. You even named them Mateus, Sophia, and Clara. His breath hitched. I remember. You told me you'd teach them to sail, that you'd build a house with a big garden so they'd never feel trapped like you did as a kid. He nodded, eyes glistening. I meant it. Then why did you tell me, years later, that you'd never really wanted children, that it was my obsession, not yours? He looked away, because watching you go through those treatments, the hope, the disappointment, the way you'd cry in the shower so I wouldn't hear, it broke me. I thought if I pretended it didn't matter, it would hurt less. So you lied, she said, not accusing, just stating a fact. I thought I was protecting you. You were protecting yourself, she corrected gently, from the truth, that you still wanted a family, even if I couldn't give you one. And instead of facing that together, you buried it, until Isadora handed you a ready-made dream on a silver platter. He didn't deny it, just stared at his son, sleeping peacefully in her arms. I'm so sorry, Elena, he whispered, not just for leaving you, but for making you believe you weren't enough. You were always enough. You are enough. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but she didn't wipe them away. It's not about being enough, Lucas. It's about honesty. You chose a fantasy over the woman who loved you through your worst days. And now you have the child you always wanted, but you don't know how to love him the way he needs. He reached out, not for her, but for Mateus's tiny hand. The baby's fingers closed around his father's thumb. I want to learn, Lucas said, voice thick, but I don't know where to start. Elena looked from father to son, then made a decision that would change everything. Then let me show you, she said. He looked up, stunned. You'd help me? Not for you, she said firmly. For him, because he deserves to know what real love looks like. Not the kind that disappears when things get hard, but the kind that stays, even when it hurts. Lucas swallowed hard. What do I do? First, she said, shifting Mateus gently into his arms, guiding his hands. Hold him like this, support his head. Second, talk to him. Even if he doesn't understand the words, he understands your voice. Tell him you're here, that he's safe. Lucas did as she said, his movements clumsy at first, then slowly more confident. Hey, Mateus, he murmured. It's me, your dad. I'm right here. Elena watched, heart aching, not with jealousy, but with something deeper. Grief for the life they could have had, and hope for the one this child might still have. And then, quietly, she added, and Lucas, stop lying. To him, to Isadora, to yourself. Because the moment you pretend this is perfect, you fail him. He nodded, tears finally falling. I don't want to fail him. Then don't, she said. Be the man I once believed you were. She turned to leave, but his voice stopped her. Elena, will you come back tomorrow? She paused at the door, hand on the frame. Yes, she said, but not as your wife, not as your friend, as his tia Elena, his aunt, his family. He didn't argue, just whispered, thank you. And as she stepped into the hallway, she knew this wasn't reconciliation. But Isadora hadn't vanished. She'd been biding her time. One humid afternoon, Elena arrived to find the nursery door ajar. Isadora standing inside, arms crossed, watching Lucas rock Mateus with a look of cold disbelief. Oh, perfect, Isadora said as Elena stepped in. The ghost has returned. Lucas tensed but didn't look up. She's helping, Isadora. You know that. Helping? Isadora laughed, sharp and brittle. Or inserting herself back into your life under the guise of anti-duty? Don't flatter yourself, Elena. He doesn't need you. We don't need you. Elena set down her bag calmly. I'm not here for you. Or for him. She nodded toward Lucas. I'm here for Mateus. And if you loved him even half as much as you love the idea of being his mother, you'd be grateful someone knows what they're doing. Isadora's eyes flashed. You think I don't know how to care for my own son? I think you care more about how you look caring for him, Elena said, voice low but unwavering. You post photos of organic purees but forget to burp him. You buy designer onesies but leave him in a room with dry air all night. That's not motherhood, Isadora. That's performance art. Lucas finally looked up, his voice quiet but firm. Enough. But Isadora wasn't done. She stepped closer to Elena, voice dropping to a venomous whisper. You had your chance. You couldn't give him a child, so he found someone who could. Stop pretending you have a right to be here. Elena didn't flinch. She met Isadora's gaze, steady as stone. Blood isn't the only thing that makes family. Love is. And right now, the only person in this room showing Mateus real love is the one who stayed when it got hard. Isadora's mask cracked. You don't get to judge me. No, Elena said softly. But I do get to protect him. Lucas stood, Mateus still in his arms. Isadora, that's enough. Elena is here because I asked her to be, because I trust her. And if you can't accept that, then maybe you need to ask yourself why you're so threatened by someone who only wants what's best for our son. Isadora paled. You're choosing her over me? I'm choosing him, Lucas said, and the words landed like a verdict. Not you, not her, him. Isadora stared at him, then at Elena, her eyes burning with humiliation and fury. Without another word, she turned and walked out, heels clicking like gunshots down the hall. Silence settled over the nursery. Lucas exhaled, shoulders slumping. I didn't see it before, he murmured, looking down at Mateus. How much of her love was conditional? How much of it was about status, not sacrifice? Elena moved closer, gently adjusting the baby's blanket. You were lonely, and she offered you a mirror that told you everything you wanted to hear. And you, he said, voice breaking, offered me the truth, even when it hurt. She didn't answer right away, just watched Mateus sleep, his tiny chest rising and falling. Do you ever wonder, she finally asked, what our life would have been like if we'd adopted? If we'd fought for a family together instead of letting silence tear us apart? He looked at her, eyes full of regret. Every day, she nodded. Then don't make the same mistake with him. Don't let pride, or image, or fear keep you from being the father he needs. He reached out, not to touch her, but to brush a tear from her cheek. She hadn't even realized she was crying. I don't deserve your kindness, he whispered. Maybe not, she said, but he deserves your best. And if I can help you give him that, then it's worth it. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. Rain began to fall, soft at first, then steady. And in that quiet room, filled with the scent of lavender and baby powder, two broken people didn't mend what was shattered between them. But they built something new around the one who mattered most. And for the first time in years, Elena felt not like a ghost, but like a guardian. Isadora. She stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, back turned, arms wrapped around herself, staring out at the blurred lights of the city. No makeup, hair loose, the designer armor gone. For the first time, she looked human. Elena hesitated. She could slip out unnoticed. But something, perhaps the echo of her own loneliness, made her stay. You don't have to pretend with me, Elena said softly. Isadora flinched but didn't turn. I'm not pretending. Aren't you? Elena stepped closer, voice gentle but unwavering. You built an entire identity around being the woman who saved Lucas from his cold, barren marriage. But what happens when the fairy tale cracks? When he realizes you're not his savior, you're just another person trying to fill a void. Isadora finally turned, eyes red-rimmed, defiant. You think I don't know that? You think I haven't seen the way he looks at you when you hold Mateus? Like you're the only one who truly belongs here. Elena didn't deny it. I belong here because I love him, not for what he gives me, but for who he is. And that's something you never understood. Isadora let out a shaky breath. I do love him. Do you? Elena asked. Or do you love the idea of him? The power, the name, the life? Because real love doesn't vanish when you're not the center of attention. Real love stays, even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when the world isn't watching. Isadora's voice cracked. I am scared. The admission hung in the air, fragile as glass. Elena softened. Of what? That I'm not enough, Isadora whispered. That I'll fail him. That he'll wake up one day and realize I'm just a girl who got lucky. Elena studied her. The trembling hands, the raw vulnerability beneath the polished surface. She saw not a rival, but a young woman drowning in a role she never learned how to play. You're not failing him, Elena said quietly. You're just learning, and that's okay. But you have to stop performing. Start being. He doesn't need a perfect mother. He needs a present one. Isadora wiped her eyes, voice barely audible. How do I do that? Ask for help, Elena said. Not from influencers, not from algorithms, from people who've walked this path. From me, if you'll let me. Isadora stared at her, disbelief warring with desperate hope. After everything I've done, you'd help me? I'm not doing it for you, Elena said. I'm doing it for him. But if you're willing to show up, really show up, then yes, I'll help. A long silence stretched between them, filled only by the distant rumble of thunder. Then, hesitantly, Isadora took a step forward. I don't know how to bathe him without him crying. Elena almost smiled. Then let's start there. She led Isadora to the nursery, where Lucas still sat beside the crib, watching over his son like a sentinel. He looked up, wary, as Isadora entered behind Elena. What's this? He asked. She wants to learn, Elena said simply. Lucas studied Isadora's face, the lack of defiance, the quiet plea in her eyes, and nodded slowly. Okay. Elena filled the small tub with warm water, tested the temperature, showed Isadora how to support Mateus's head, how to speak softly as she washed him. Isadora's hands shook at first, movements stiff, but gradually, she relaxed. And when Mateus cooed instead of cried, a tear slipped down her cheek. I did it, she whispered, awed. You did, Elena said. Later, as they wrapped the baby in a soft towel, Isadora looked at Elena, not with rivalry, but with something like gratitude. Why are you doing this? She asked. You could have let me drown. Elena met her gaze. Because once, someone told me that love isn't about winning. It's about making sure the ones who matter most are never left behind. Lucas watched them both, his expression unreadable, but his eyes shone with something like hope. Outside, the rain slowed to a drizzle. The storm had passed, but inside something far more fragile and far more powerful had just begun to grow. One afternoon, while sorting through baby clothes Isadora had impulsively bought online, most too small, some still tagged, Elena found a folded receipt tucked in the pocket of a tiny cashmere onesie. Not from a boutique, from a private fertility clinic in Miami. Dated 3 months before Lucas and Elena had even separated. Her blood ran cold. She didn't confront Isadora. Not yet. Instead, she began to watch quietly, carefully. She noticed how Isadora flinched whenever Lucas mentioned trying for a sibling, how she changed the subject when doctors asked about prenatal vitamins, how she never spoke of the pregnancy beyond the glossy highlights. One evening, after Mateus had fallen asleep and Lucas had stepped out for a call, Elena found Isadora alone on the terrace, nursing a glass of wine, staring into the city lights with a look of quiet dread. You knew, Elena said, stepping onto the balcony. Not a question, a statement. Isadora didn't turn. Knew what? That you planned this, Elena said, voice low but steady. The pregnancy, the timing. You didn't just happen to get pregnant. You made sure of it. Isadora's grip tightened on her glass. You don't know anything. I know you went to a fertility clinic in Miami, Elena said. I know you used donor sperm, his sperm, stored during a routine checkup he didn't even remember authorizing. I know you timed it so it would coincide with the final collapse of our marriage. Isadora finally looked at her, eyes blazing. And if I did? He was slipping away. You had him for 15 years. I had months. What was I supposed to do? Let him go. So you trapped him with a child? Elena's voice trembled, not with anger, but with sorrow. You turned his son into a weapon. He's not a weapon, Isadora snapped, tears spilling. He's my son. And yes, I wanted him to stay, but I love Mateus. Doesn't that count for anything? It counts, Elena said softly. But love built on lies is a house on sand. And when the storm comes, and it will, you'll both drown. Isadora sank into a chair, sobbing. I was so scared of being nothing, just another girl he'd forget. I thought if I gave him a child, he'd have to see me, really see me. Elena sat beside her, not touching, just present. You didn't need a child to be seen, Isadora. You just needed to be honest. With him, with yourself. Isadora wiped her face, voice breaking. It's too late now. Maybe, Elena said, but it's not too late for Mateus. He deserves parents who choose each other, not out of obligation, but out of truth. Just then, Lucas appeared in the doorway, phone in hand, his face pale. Isadora, he said, voice hollow. The clinic called. They said you accessed my genetic material without consent, that you forged my signature on the insemination forms. Isadora froze. Lucas, Did you? He asked, stepping closer. Pain etched into every line of his face. Did you plan this from the beginning? She didn't answer. Her silence was confession enough. Lucas ran a hand over his face, shoulders shaking. All this time, I thought I'd finally been given a second chance. But it was just another transaction. No, Isadora cried. It started that way, yes, but I love him. I love you. Do you? Lucas asked, voice cracking. Or do you love the life I give you? He turned to Elena, eyes full of anguish. You knew, and you didn't tell me. I wanted you to see for yourself, she said gently, because if I told you, you'd have blamed her and never faced your own role in this. You were lonely. You let her fill the silence. That's on both of you. Lucas looked at Mateus's room down the hall, then back at Isadora. I can't unknow this. Isadora stood, desperate. Please, Lucas, don't throw us away because of how it started. Look at him. He's real. He's ours. He's innocent, Lucas said, and that's the only reason I'm still here. He walked past her into Mateus's room and closed the door softly behind him. Elena stood, ready to leave. Will he forgive me? Isadora whispered. I don't know, Elena said, but forgiveness isn't about deserving it. It's about earning it every single day, starting now. She paused at the door. And Isadora, don't make the same mistake I did. Don't let fear silence your truth. Outside, the city pulsed with indifferent light, but inside, a new kind of storm was brewing, not of betrayal, but of reckoning. And for the first time, Elena realized the real battle wasn't for Lucas's love. Elena, Clara had said, voice urgent, we've secured funding for the Villa Nova housing complex, the one you designed 10 years ago, the modular, solar-powered units with shared gardens and childcare co-ops. The city approved it, but we need you, not as a consultant, as lead architect. Elena had stared at her reflection in the dark window, hair damp, eyes tired but alive. I haven't touched a real blueprint in over a decade. You never stopped seeing the world in lines and light, Clara replied. And this project is not just about shelter. It's about dignity, for single mothers, for families like the ones we keep failing. Now, sunlight streamed through Elena's window as she pinned the first full-scale renderings to her wall. Clean lines, open spaces, courtyards where children could play safely. Her hands moved with a certainty she'd forgotten she possessed. This wasn't just a job. It was resurrection. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lucas. Mateus won't stop crying. Isadora left this morning. Said she needed space. I don't know what to do. Elena's chest tightened, but she didn't reply right away. Instead, she took a deep breath and typed, "Breathe. Hold him upright. Hum the lullaby I taught you. And Lucas, don't let fear make you abandon him too." She hit send, then turned back to her work, because she finally understood. She couldn't pour from an empty cup. She couldn't be the anchor for Mateus if she kept drowning in their chaos. Later that afternoon, Mariana arrived unannounced, holding 2 coffees and a folder stamped with the city seal. "You got it," Mariana said, eyes shining. "The Villa Nova project. Full creative control. Budget approved. They're calling it the Moreau model." Elena touched the folder like it was sacred. "I'm terrified." "Good," Mariana said, sitting beside her. "Means you care. But Elena, this is your second act. Not as Lucas Valente's ex-wife. Not as Mateus's reluctant aunt. As Elena Moreau, the woman who builds homes for people who've been told they don't deserve one." Tears pricked Elena's eyes. "What if I fail? What if you fly?" Mariana countered. "You've spent years believing your worth was tied to a man who couldn't see you. Now the city is handing you a chance to prove, to yourself, that you were always enough." Just then, her phone rang again. "Lucas." She answered on speaker, hands still tracing a roofline. "Elena." His voice was raw. "He's finally asleep. I sat with him for 2 hours, just holding him, talking about nothing. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was performing. I just was." She smiled faintly. "That's fatherhood, Lucas. Not the photos, not the speeches, just showing up. I don't know how to fix what I broke with Isadora," he admitted. "But I know I can't lose him too." "You won't," she said softly. "Not if you keep choosing him over your pride." Pause. Then, quietly, "Will you come by tomorrow? He smiles when you're near." Elena looked at the blueprints on her wall, lines of light, spaces of promise. Then at her phone, at the man trying, however clumsily, to become someone worthy of his son. "Yes," she said, "but only after I finish this section. Because I'm building something too, Lucas. Something that matters." He was silent for a long moment. "You always were." She ended the call and turned to Mariana, who was watching her with quiet awe. "You're not going back to them," Mariana said. "You're walking beside them, on your own terms." "Elena?" His voice was thin, frayed at the edges, barely recognizable. I can't breathe." Her pencil dropped. "Where are you?" "Office. Alone. Chest tight. Like a vice." He gasped. "Mateus is with the nanny. I didn't want to scare him. Call an ambulance. Now." "I did. But Elena..." His voice cracked. "I'm scared." She was already grabbing her keys. "I'm coming." Traffic was a nightmare, but she drove like the world depended on it, because for him, in that moment, it did. She burst into the Valente Tower lobby, ignored the stunned receptionist, and took the private elevator straight to the top floor. Lucas sat slumped at his desk, face ashen, one hand pressed to his chest, the other clutching a framed photo. Elena recognized it instantly. Their honeymoon in Lisbon. Her laughing, him holding her waist like she was the only thing keeping him grounded. She knelt beside him, checking his pulse, racing, erratic. "Breathe with me," she said, voice calm despite the storm inside. "In 2-3. Out 2-3. He tried, eyes locked on hers, sweat beading on his forehead. "I thought I was dying." "You're not," she said firmly, "but your body's screaming what your mind refused to admit. You're drowning." Paramedics arrived, efficient and swift. They ran tests, monitored vitals, spoke in low tones. "Severe stress-induced hypertension," one said. "Borderline cardiac event. You need to rest. Seriously." Lucas shook his head weakly. "I have meetings. The Singapore deal." "Forget the deal." Elena cut in, sharper than she intended. "You almost lost your life." In the ambulance, en route to the hospital, Lucas reached for her hand. She hesitated, then took it. "I kept thinking," he whispered. "If I died today, Mateus would grow up hearing I was a billionaire who built towers but never learned how to hold his own son without checking his phone." Tears filled Elena's eyes. "You're not that man anymore. I want to be better," he said, voice breaking. "But I don't know how to start." "You already did," she said, "by letting yourself fall apart. Real strength isn't control, Lucas. It's surrender." At the hospital, they admitted him for observation. Isadora arrived hours later, heels clicking down the hall, designer bag slung over her shoulder, face carefully composed. "How is he?" she asked Elena, who sat in the waiting chair outside his room. "Alive," Elena said simply. "Barely." Isadora flinched. "I came as soon as I heard." "Did you?" Elena asked, not unkindly. "Or did you come because the press might find out the tycoon collapsed from stress and his mistress wasn't there?" Isadora's mask slipped. "I care about him." "Then prove it," Elena said. "Not with flowers, not with photos. Stay. Help him rebuild not his empire, his life." Inside the room, Lucas stirred. He saw Isadora and looked away. She stepped in anyway, voice soft. "Lucas, I'm sorry." He closed his eyes. "For what? For using my sperm without consent? For treating our son like a bargaining chip? Or for making me believe love was a transaction?" She swallowed hard. "For all of it." He turned to her then, exhausted but clear-eyed. "I can't go back to who I was, and I won't go back to us, not like before. But if you're willing to start from zero, not as lovers but as parents, then maybe we can try." Tears spilled down Isadora's cheeks. "I don't know how to be anything else." "Then learn," he said, "like I'm learning." Later that night, after Isadora left and the hospital quieted, Elena sat by his bedside. "You saved me," he murmured. "No," she said, "you saved yourself. I just reminded you that you're more than your bank account." He looked at her, really looked, like he was seeing her for the first time in years. "Why are you still here, Elena? After everything?" She met his gaze, steady and true. "Because the man I married wasn't perfect, but he was good, and I still see him, under all the noise, under the fear. And Mateus deserves to know that man too." He reached for her hand again. This time she didn't hesitate. Outside, the city lights shimmered, cold, distant, indifferent. But in that sterile hospital room, something fragile and real began to bloom. Not love, not forgiveness. Mateus won't stop crying. Fever spiking, breathing fast. "Lucas is in a meeting, I can't reach him. I don't know what to do. Please." Elena was out the door before she finished reading. She arrived to find Isadora pacing the nursery, phone pressed to her ear, voice shrill. "No, I don't want a telehealth consult." "He's turning blue." Mateus lay in his crib, face flushed, lips tinged with a faint grayish hue, each breath a shallow, rapid gasp. Elena's architect's mind, trained to read structures, stresses, failures, immediately recognized the signs. Severe respiratory distress, possibly RSV, possibly worse. "Call an ambulance." "Now," Elena said, already moving. She scooped Mateus into her arms, cradling him upright, tilting his head just so to open his airway. "Isadora, now." Isadora fumbled with her phone, hands shaking. "They said 20 minutes. Then we go ourselves?" Elena snapped, already heading for the elevator. Mateus pressed to her chest. "Keys. Car. Now." In the back seat, Elena held Mateus close, whispering reassurances she wasn't sure he could hear, monitoring his breaths like a countdown. Isadora drove erratically, tears streaming down her face. "I tried everything," she sobbed. "Steam, saline drops, the humidifier. You showed me, but he just got worse." "You did your best," Elena said, voice firm but not unkind. "But sometimes best isn't enough, and that's okay." At the emergency entrance, Elena burst through the doors, shouting for help. Nurses rushed forward, taking Mateus gently but swiftly. Isadora collapsed against the wall, sobbing. "He's going to be okay," Elena said, placing a hand on her shoulder. Not out of affection, but solidarity. But the triage nurse's face was grim. "We need both parents for consent." "Lucas is on his way," Isadora choked out. Minutes later, Lucas arrived, still in his suit, tie loosened, eyes wild with panic. He took one look at Isadora's tear-streaked face and Elena's calm but exhausted stance, and his voice broke. "Is he?" "He's stable for now," a doctor said, approaching. "But it's acute bronchiolitis with signs of early pneumonia. We're admitting him. He'll need oxygen support and close monitoring." Lucas nodded numbly, signing the forms with a trembling hand. In the pediatric ICU, they waited. The room was hushed, filled only by the soft beep of monitors and the rhythmic hiss of Mateus's oxygen mask. He looked so small, swallowed by wires and blankets. Isadora sat rigid in a chair, arms wrapped around herself. "This is my fault. I should have brought him in sooner." "No," Lucas said quietly. "This is no one's fault. Illness doesn't care about guilt." Elena stood by the window, watching the city lights blur through unshed tears. She remembered nights like this with her niece. How helpless she'd felt, how love alone wasn't always enough to heal. Then softly she spoke. "He's strong, and he's got 3 people in this room who would move mountains for him. That counts for something." Lucas looked at her, then at Isadora, then at his son. "We almost lost everything because we were too proud to ask for help." Isadora reached out, tentatively, and took his hand. He didn't pull away. Elena turned to leave, giving them space. "Elena," Lucas called out. She paused. "You're one of those 3, he said, voice thick. "Don't ever think you're not." She nodded, throat tight, and stepped into the hallway. Outside the ICU door, she leaned against the cool wall and finally let the tears. Lucas entered quietly, holding 2 paper cups of tea. He handed one to Elena without a word and sank into the chair beside Isadora, who hadn't moved from her son's bedside since dawn. "He's better," Lucas said, voice rough with exhaustion. "The doctor said we can take him home tomorrow." Isadora nodded, but her hands trembled as she smoothed Mateus's blanket. "What if it happens again? What if I miss the signs next time?" "You won't," Elena said softly, "because you won't be alone." Isadora looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "After everything I've done, why are you still here?" Elena met her gaze. "Because I see you now. Not the woman who schemed to steal my husband, but the mother who's terrified of failing her son. And that fear, I know it too." Lucas exhaled, running a hand over his face. "I keep thinking, if Elena hadn't been there that night, if she hadn't known what to do," his voice broke. "I almost lost him because I was too busy rebuilding my image to learn how to be his father." "You're learning now," Elena said. "But what if it's too late?" Isadora whispered. "It's never too late to choose love over pride," Elena replied. "You both made mistakes, but Mateus doesn't care about your past. He only knows if you're here now." A long silence settled over them, heavy with unspoken regrets and fragile hope. Then Mateus stirred. His eyes fluttered open, wide, dark, unmistakably Lucas's, yet undeniably carrying the quiet depth Elena recognized from her own mother's gaze. He let out a soft whimper, not of pain, but of need. Isadora moved to pick him up, but Elena gently stopped her. "Let him see you both, together." Lucas and Isadora exchanged a look, uncertain, vulnerable, then slowly, carefully, leaned over the crib together. Mateus's eyes darted between them, then settled on Elena, who hadn't moved from her chair. And then he smiled. Not a reflex, a real, gummy, sleepy smile, just for her. Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. She didn't wipe them away. Isadora let out a choked sob. "He loves you. He loves us," Elena corrected gently. "All of us." Lucas reached for Elena's hand, not romantically, but in gratitude so deep it needed no words. She let him hold it for a moment, then gently pulled away. I have to go, she said, standing. The Villa Nova site inspection is at 9. Lucas stood too. Elena, will you come back? She looked at Mateus, now cooing softly in Isidora's arms, then at Lucas. His eyes no longer sharp with ambition, but softened by awe. I'll always come back for him, she said, but not as a replacement, not as a ghost, as his tia Elena, his family, nothing more, nothing less. Isidora nodded, voice thick. We'd be lost without you. Elena almost smiled, then stopped trying to do this alone. As she stepped into the hallway, sunlight streamed through the hospital windows, warm and golden. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like an outsider looking in. She was part of something real, not a perfect family, not a fairy tale, but a chosen one built not on grand declarations, but on quiet acts of showing up. And as she walked toward the elevator, phone already buzzing with updates from Villa Nova rose from the earth like a promise. Solar panels glinting, shared courtyards blooming with native plants, walls painted in warm ochre and sky blue. She spent her days on site, hard hat on, voice firm but kind, directing crews, adjusting designs on the fly. At night, she returned to her small apartment, often with a text from Lucas. He said his first word today, Tia, or from Isidora. He won't sleep unless I hum that lullaby you taught me. Thank you. But one evening, as Elena reviewed final permits at her kitchen table, Lucas showed up unannounced. Mateus asleep in a carrier on his chest, eyes tired but clear. Can we talk? He asked. She let him in. He didn't sit, just stood by the window watching the city lights. I've been thinking, he began, voice low, about us, about what comes next. Elena's pen stilled. There is no us, Lucas. I know, he said quickly. That's not what I mean. I don't want you back as my wife. I don't deserve that. But Mateus, he needs you. And I need you, not as a lover, but as his anchor, as family. She looked at him, really looked. The arrogance was gone. In its place, humility, clarity. What are you asking? She said carefully. That you be part of his life. Officially. Not just when he's sick or I'm lost. Every day. Weekends. Birthdays. School plays. I want him to grow up knowing you're not just dad's ex. You're Tia Elena. The woman who showed up when no one else knew how. Her throat tightened. And Isidora? She agrees, he said. She's the mother. You're something else. Something irreplaceable. Elena walked to the crib carrier, gently brushing a curl from Mateus's forehead. He stirred, murmured her name in his sleep. I won't be a placeholder, she said, turning back to Lucas. I won't pretend this is a second chance for us. If I'm in his life, it's because I love him, not because I'm waiting for you to finally choose me. I'm not asking you to wait, Lucas said, stepping closer. I'm asking you to stay, on your terms. No expectations, no roles, just love. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't look away. It's not that simple. People will talk. They'll say I'm trying to steal him back, or that I'm using Mateus to stay close to you. Let them talk, he said fiercely. You've spent your life caring what the world thinks. But Mateus? He only cares if you're there when he wakes up scared. If you laugh at his silly faces. If you teach him that love isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up day after day, even when it hurts. She swallowed hard. What if I fail him? You won't, Lucas said softly, because you've never failed anyone who truly needed you. A long silence stretched between them, filled only by Mateus's soft breathing. Finally, Elena nodded. Okay. Lucas exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. Okay. I'll be his Tia, she said, voice steady. But Lucas, this isn't reconciliation. It's co-parenting, with boundaries, with honesty. If you ever go back to hiding behind your empire, if you let pride silence your love for him again, I walk away, for good. He met her gaze, eyes glistening. I understand. She reached out not to touch him, but to adjust Mateus's blanket. Then we start now, not as husband and wife, not as rivals, as three adults who love one child more than their own egos. Outside, the city hummed with indifferent noise, but inside, a new kind of family was being born. Not from blood alone, but from she opened it to find Elena standing there, damp from the rain, holding a canvas tote bag filled with children's books and a small pot of chamomile tea, Isidora's favorite, the one Elena had taught her to brew for Mateus's restless nights. "I brought the parenting group materials," Elena said gently. "You said you wanted to go tonight." Isidora hesitated, fingers twisting in the hem of her sweater. "I don't know if I can. What if they judge me? What if they see me as the other woman who tricked a billionaire into fatherhood?" Elena stepped inside, closing the door behind her. "Then let them see you as the mother who showed up anyway, the one who chose to learn, to grow, to love without guarantees." Isidora sank onto the couch, voice barely a whisper. "I'm so tired of pretending I have it all together." "Good," Elena said, sitting beside her. "Because you don't, and neither do I, and neither does Lucas. That's the secret no one tells you. Parenting isn't about perfection. It's about repair." Mateus toddled over, holding up a block. "Tia, look." Elena took it, smiling. "You built a tower, just like the ones I design." He beamed, then ran back to his playmat. Isidora watched him, tears welling. "I used to think love was about winning, about being chosen over someone else. But he loves us both, equally, without competition. Because children don't divide love," Elena said softly. "They multiply it." A silence settled between them, warm and honest. Then Isidora took a deep breath. "I started therapy last week." Elena turned to her, surprised. "You did?" "I had to," Isidora admitted. "I kept waiting for someone else to fix me. Lucas, you, even Mateus. But the truth is, I was never taught how to be loved for who I am, only for what I could give. And that made me desperate, manipulative, afraid." She looked at Elena, eyes raw. "I'm sorry, not just for taking Lucas, but for making you feel like you weren't enough. You were always enough. You just loved differently than I knew how to recognize." Elena's throat tightened. She reached out, not to hug her, but to place a hand over hers. "We both lost ourselves trying to fit into roles we thought would make us worthy. But worth isn't earned through sacrifice or seduction. It's inherent. In you, in me, in him." Isidora wiped her eyes. "Will you come to the group with me tonight? Just sit with me? I'm scared." Elena smiled faintly. "Of course I will." Later, at the community center, they sat in a circle of parents, single moms, tired dads, grandparents raising grandchildren. No titles, no empires, just people trying their best. When it was Isidora's turn to speak, her voice shook. "My name is Isidora, and I became a mother through deception. But I'm learning to be one through truth." No one gasped, no one judged. A woman with kind eyes passed her a tissue. A man nodded in quiet understanding. Afterward, walking back to the car in the drizzle, Isidora turned to Elena. "Thank you for not letting me drown." "I didn't save you," Elena said. "You chose to swim." They stopped at a crosswalk, Mateus asleep in his stroller between them. "I want him to know you," Isidora said suddenly. "Not just as his aunt, as part of his story. The woman who taught me that love isn't a prize to be won. It's a gift to be given, even when you're afraid." Elena looked at Mateus, then at Isidora, really looked. Not as a rival, but as a fellow traveler on a road neither had planned. "I'm honored," she said simply. The Valente Foundation, once a glossy PR vehicle, now funded urban renewal projects across Brazil. Affordable housing, mental health clinics for new parents, mentorship programs for young architects from underserved communities. He'd stepped down as CEO, taken a seat on the advisory board, and redirected billions toward causes that mattered. Not to impress Elena, but because, for the first time, he understood legacy wasn't built in steel and glass. It was built in trust, in repair, in showing up when no one was watching. His phone buzzed. A photo from Isidora. Mateus, now 3, wearing tiny gardening gloves, planting seedlings in the Villa Nova community garden with Elena kneeling beside him, her hands covered in soil, her smile unguarded, real. Lucas's chest ached. He walked downstairs through the open doors of the center, where mothers gathered for support circles and fathers learned how to change diapers without panic. He found Elena near the herb garden, brushing dirt from her knees. "You did it," he said softly. She looked up, surprised. "You came. I had to see it," he said, gesturing around. This is what you always dreamed of, isn't it?" She nodded, eyes shining. "A place where people don't just survive, but belong." He stepped closer, voice low. "I sold the penthouse." She blinked. "All of them. The high-rises, the yachts, the private jet." He almost smiled. "Kept the apartment near the park. The one with the creaky floorboards and the view of the trees. Mateus calls it the real home." Elena studied him, the lines around his eyes deeper now but kinder, the sharp edges of ambition softened by humility. "Why?" she asked. "Because I finally understood what you tried to tell me all those years ago," he said. "Success isn't about how much you accumulate. It's about how much you give back. And I wasted so much time believing I had to be untouchable, when what I really needed was to be human." A silence settled between them, filled only by children's laughter and the rustle of leaves. "You've changed," she said. "I had to," he replied. "For him, for me, for us. Not as a couple, but as a family." She looked toward the garden, where Mateus waved wildly at them, holding up a muddy carrot like a trophy. "He's going to ask you to stay for dinner," she said. "I know," Lucas said, "and I will, but not because I'm hoping for more. I stay because I finally know what matters." Elena turned to him fully now, her voice gentle but firm. "Lucas, are you happy?" He didn't answer right away, just watched his son run toward them, cheeks flushed, eyes bright with joy. "Yes," he said finally. "Not because I have everything I wanted, but because I've let go of everything I didn't need." That evening, as the sun dipped below the rooftops, the three of them, Lucas, Isadora, and Elena, sat on the small balcony of the apartment near the park, sharing a simple meal. Mateus played at their feet with wooden blocks, chattering in his sweet, babbling way. Isadora passed Lucas a plate. "You look lighter." "I am," he said. Elena sipped her tea, watching the stars emerge one by one. No one spoke of the past. No one apologized again. The wounds were still there, but they no longer bled. They had scarred into something stronger. Later, as Lucas helped Mateus into his pajamas, the boy looked up and said, "Daddy, why do you look sad sometimes when you watch Tia Elena?" Lucas froze, then knelt, brushing his son's hair back. "I'm not sad, meu amor. I'm grateful. She helped me become the dad you deserve." Mateus yawned. "She's my favorite." Lucas smiled, voice thick. "Mine too." Back in the living room, Elena stood by the window, coat in hand, ready to leave. "You don't have to go," Isadora said gently. "I know," Elena replied, "but my work isn't here tonight. It's at the new site in Recife. They're breaking ground tomorrow." Lucas appeared in the doorway, hands in his pockets. "Will you come back?" She looked at him, at the man he'd become, and then at Mateus, already at the old oak near the duck pond. She spread the blanket and sat, watching the water ripple in the breeze. Children's laughter echoed from the playground. Life, ordinary and beautiful, unfolding in real time. Then, small feet pounding against the path. "Tia Elena!" Mateus came running, now 8 years old, all limbs and energy, his dark curls bouncing, school bag slung over one shoulder. He flung himself onto the blanket, breathless and grinning. "Dad said I could come early. He's stuck in a meeting with the city council about the new youth center." She ruffled his hair. "And did you finish your math homework?" He groaned. "After the story. Promise." She laughed, the same warm, unguarded laugh that used to be buried under layers of silence, and opened the book. As she read, her voice soft and steady, Mateus leaned against her, eyes half closed, safe in the rhythm of her presence. From a bench 20 meters away, Lucas watched. He didn't approach. Not yet. He never did on Sundays. This time was hers. Theirs. The quiet ritual that had become the heartbeat of their unconventional family. He wore no suit today, just a linen shirt, sleeves rolled up, hands tucked in his pockets. The lines on his face were deeper now, but his eyes were calm. Peace. He turned 45 last month, and for the first time, he didn't dread the number. He'd spent the morning not in a boardroom, but helping install solar panels at the Villa Novatine Center, Elena's latest project, now replicated in 3 other cities. Isadora sat beside him on the bench, sketching in a notebook. She'd gone back to art school, was teaching painting to at-risk teens. She glanced at him, then at Elena and Mateus. "He looks like her sometimes," she murmured. "When he's thinking, that little furrow between his brows." Lucas nodded. Her mother's face, her heart. A comfortable silence settled between them. Not the tense quiet of their early co-parenting days, but the easy stillness of 2 people who'd fought their demons and chosen, every day, to do better. "He asked me last night," Isadora said softly, "why you and Tia Elena aren't married." Lucas smiled faintly. "What did you tell him? That love isn't always about rings or living under the same roof. Sometimes it's about showing up, even when it's hard, even when you're not together." Lucas looked at Elena, really looked. She was pointing at a duck, with Mateus, both of them laughing at its waddle. Sunlight caught the silver strands in her hair, the quiet strength in her posture. She wasn't the woman he'd left. She was the woman she'd become, and he loved her for it, not with the desperate hunger of his past, but with the deep, steady respect of someone who finally understood what real love required. Not possession, presence. Later, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in gold and rose, Mateus ran back to his parents, cheeks flushed, holding a dandelion puffball. "For you, Tia," he said, handing it to Elena. She took it gently. "Make a wish," she whispered. He closed his eyes, blew, and the seeds scattered like tiny stars on the wind. Lucas finally walked over, standing a respectful distance away. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what?" Elena asked, rising. "For teaching him that love doesn't need a title to be real." She met his gaze, and in that look passed everything. The pain, the betrayal, the hospital nights, the shared lullabies, the quiet Sundays. No words were needed. Isadora joined them, slipping her hand into Lucas's. Not possessively, but companionably. Partnership rebuilt on honesty, not illusion. As they walked back toward the parking lot, Mateus skipping ahead, Elena lingered for a moment, watching them go. The man who'd broken her heart, the woman who'd replaced her, and the child who'd stitched them all back together in a way none of them had expected. She didn't feel jealousy. Not anymore. Only gratitude, because the title had promised drama. Tycoon husband left wife for mistress. At the gala, saw her on the stairs holding their child, but life, in its quiet wisdom, had written a different ending. Not one of revenge or return, but of redemption, of a woman who lost everything and found herself, of a child who became the bridge between broken pieces, and of love not as a grand finale, but as a daily choice, to show up, to forgive, to build something beautiful from the ruins. Elena took one last look at the pond, at the ripples fading into stillness, and smiled. Then she turned and walked toward her car, not toward the past, but into a future she'd built with her own hands. And somewhere behind her, a little boy called out, "Tia, wait for..."